She's also friends with the sheriff's department. Now, between telling the truth, which would have gotten her friends in the sheriff's department in trouble, and stealing $18,000 from Dual County, well, her stealing $18,000 from Dual County isn't a big deal. They spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to cover up their crimes, to hide the fact that as Nebraskans, they are mandated reporters. I did take the crimes to them. I did explain it to them. I did try to get them to show evidence, and they made every excuse not to. Polly Olsen is one of those people. She was involved in the situation the day that I was assaulted by Scott DaCosta. That's because I had an infection on my backside. I still have that infection, by the way. I have to pop the pustule every few days and let it drain. And although I was in custody for trying to turn in Scott DaCosta, the ambulance, the Chapel Ambulance Service, that's right, she was an EMT with Chapel Ambulance Service, not just the county clerk. Her daughter is the city clerk, by the way. Her daughter is married to Dylan Bauer, who's another witness to several of the situations since Natalie's death. There's also the fact that Polly Olsen's daughter, who's the city clerk, her name is Ashley. Well, it's not Ashley Olsen now, obviously, and it's not Ashley Jepson because they got a divorce after Jason Jepson tried to fucking murder her while she was pregnant. Got all messed out of his gourd and was fucking shooting at her. Then he wanted to get on and be predatory towards me, and some of these Natalie Bollinger, he wanted to take the Jason Jepson, different Jason Jepson altogether. He was married to Brandy Fish. Jason doesn't fuck with drugs. He did once, he got into trouble, never fucked with it again. So when his wife, Brandy Fish, well, Brandy Jepson at the time, was stealing his things, and he was trying to find out who it was that was stealing his stuff, and Brandy was trying to convince him he just must have misplaced it all somewhere. Well, there's a woman named Crystal, and I don't remember her last name because she remarried recently, but it used to be Crystal Nelson. She was married to Tom Nelson in Garden County. Well, Brandy Fish was stealing her husband's stuff, including his college computer, and she was selling it for meth to Crystal and to Tom. That's right. Like I said, bunch of drug dealers. Sober people don't accept people who are different. The drug dealers will. Nobody likes them either. But nobody likes them because they're actual drug dealers, and they're actually dealing drugs, and they're actually using drugs, and their mannerisms are because of those drugs. Their mannerisms aren't because they have Tourette syndrome. Their mannerisms aren't because they're autistic. Their mannerisms aren't because they have involuntary muscle spasms because of pre-existing abuse. Theirs is because they abuse the shit out of their body with drugs. Now, here's the question I posed to you about that situation. Brandy is not married to Jason anymore, and do you know why? Because my friend, Jason, wanted to know who was stealing his stuff, and when I found out, I went and told him. Now, my question that I have to pose about that is, am I a homewrecker for telling Jason the truth? Or am I a loyal friend for telling Jason the truth? There's a lot of people who tried to come forward, but they did it the wrong way. They wanted to write it down, hand it to me, and have me turn it in. When I'd explained to them repeatedly, it don't work that way. They called me mentally ill. Anything I bring in to try to show them, they're going to pretend I'm schizophrenic and refuse to look at it. All of these people, all of these professionals From the Department of Health and Human Services to Adult Protective Services to Region 1 to Region 2, all of them went out of their way to not do their jobs as mandated reporters, as well as to not fulfill their positions as advocates, those who used advocacy in their title. I don't even remember what this video was supposed to be about, because there's 10,000 different situations. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of threats against my life that nobody will look at. I send it to people. They do nothing with it. They don't try to turn it in. I was sent to these people because they're supposed to be mandated reporters. Not so I could waste my hard-earned money, right? But little that I get. And yes, I busted my ass for years and paid my taxes. That is my money, by law. Now, instead of telling me these things and throwing them in my face that you did these things, well, speak up. Continue to speak up. Because as long as I have to pull your teeth to get you to speak up, you're not speaking up. You're not doing your job as a mandated reporter unless you are prompted to and threatened with, well, what's the sentence for not doing your job as a mandated reporter? Am I threatening anything illegal? Am I threatening to kill these people? No. I'm threatening to take them to court. MRM typed, get a gun, easy to get over it, isn't it? No, it's not, because I don't have a gun. Now, don't get me wrong, I do have access to an illegal firearm. Well, I don't. It's all the way in Nebraska. But the fact is, it's not my gun. Well, it is. But at the same time, it's not. It was never supposed to be my gun. I was blackmailed by one of Scott DeCosta's friends into building that gun because, well, a lot of people in town bring me their guns when Cabela's, it's getting close to hunting season. And Cabela's has a 2-year waiting list on fixing your rifle or your shotgun, so people bring it to me, and I find stuff that has springs of an equal weight or similar weight, where I stretch a spring out and clip it, and next thing you know, they've got a gun that works. It'll at least work enough for them to go get a couple of pheasants or a turkey. Other than that, I can't guarantee that it'll work for more than a few shots, but you'll get a few shots out of it. Now, an M16 is different from anything I had ever worked on before. Not an M16. An M16 is full auto. But he types, get a gun, easy to get over, isn't it? No, it's not. All of my predators have guns. They have access to guns. That gun, well, it's in a place that's safe right now, and it's locked up. And I don't believe that the person who has been entrusted with it is going to go killing anyone with it. But the thing is, that's one of the things that I went to Megan Missigatis about. One of the things where I was being taken advantage of and actually blackmailed. You know, it's not blackmail to say, hey, I'll give you a chance to tell the truth so I don't have to post your personal business up. But you got to tell the truth. If you're going to try to fucking pussyfoot around and beat around the fucking bush, well, that shows your intent right there. You don't intend on actually doing anything. Drop the fucking title, Meg. Drop the title of autism advocate. I went to everyone I was told to go to, and these people all told me it's not their jobs, and that needed to be brought up in court. Those people needed to get their words in court. I didn't slander their name. Either they told the truth or they didn't. If there was any slander and I repeated what they said, then it's their slander. And the fact that I recorded it means that I can show it is something that they said. A lot of people told me things that after the fact they wanted to pretend they never said. Don't be a fucking dumbass. You know I record every goddamn thing. Don't be so fucking stupid. Marcia Estrada is too intelligent for me to believe, and has too much experience in this situation for me to believe that she's that ignorant. She's not. 40 years in the business, she knows her job as a mandated reporter. She knows that her backtracking was wrong. She knows that as a mandated reporter, that is not only against the law, it's not just immoral, it's illegal. And she's well aware of that. She can apologize. She can admit that she fucked up. She can explain why she fucked up. And maybe the courts will go lenient on her. There's a possibility, because of the safety issues involved and the potential risk of safety for her, that they might allow her a free pass. Especially since these predators are actually dangerous. My predators actually have guns. They weren't duped into getting them. They got them knowing that they were felons or knowing that they were officers. The officers were issued. Ted Bollinger got busted with an illegal firearm. He's a felon. I'm not. He got busted with an illegal firearm and methamphetamines on more than one occasion after Natalie's death, and they just kept letting him out. And you complain that they let me out when they arrested me on bogus charges. And Mark Peterson and Detective Hyatt actually talk about that in their interviews. The great thing about I keep saying Hyatt. He was from a different jurisdiction. He was, I believe, the Arvada officer. I'm not for certain about that, though. I want to say that him and Erica were from Arvada. No, they were from, God, what was it? Aurora, I think. And it was in Aurora that they came to meet me. Now, I keep saying Hyatt when the two main detectives, it wasn't Hyatt and Erica. It was Rogers and Peterson. Now, Rogers and Peterson in their interviews, number one, things that I was accused of being schizophrenic for saying. Well, in their interviews, they admitted those things were true. So, that's cause for a redo on my court dates. That is grounds for dismissal of my cases, as well as charges to be brought up against those officers. Then there's also the part where they outright lied, and I have the evidence that shows that what they were claiming is outright lies. That includes Marcia Estrada. Marcia Estrada's testimony shows that the bullshit that those detectives in Natalie's case tried to sell, and that Natalie and her sister and her mom and those other predators tried to sell, is not true. Now, I asked those people a lot of questions. I'm also posting it on my YouTube or on my Facebook. The actual messages, as I'm making these messages with these people, I am posting them up on my Facebook. I am taking screenshots, and I am showing very loud and clear that they're not answering my questions, but I'm trying to answer theirs. Why is that? Because they're trying to hide stuff, and I'm not. They know they didn't do their jobs. I am sure that since they've looked at the mandated reporter laws and tried to do the same things that Scott DaCosta did, try to find some excuse or loophole that makes it not their fault that they didn't do so. Scott DaCosta thought that he had me with that mandated reporter thing only applies to children. No, he knows damn well that it doesn't. Just as the clerk of the courts, Joan Hansen, knew that I wasn't turned those protection orders in to Scott DaCosta, I was supposed to turn them in to her. Now there's a whole list. I want to say the second or third time I went in and talked to her, she finally gave me the information, or told me where to locate the information, at least, of how to do it properly. Because I'd been looking for months and listening to her telling me that needs to go to the sheriff and he needs to take care of it. And then later on changing her story. The fact that I've got both of those situations recorded shows that one person alone did a complete 180. That person alone, the clerk of the courts, did a complete 180. Now, also, the records on my YouTube show that I did speak with Joan Hansen. That she did talk nice, but did she inform that judge that I had gone to her repeatedly before? Did she explain to that judge that safety issue was ongoing? I have to just take her word for it. And since she has obviously broken the law to try to assist Scott DaCosta already, how am I supposed to trust her? You guys keep telling me I need to go to these people who keep lying to me, and I busted them lying, and they keep breaking the law to prevent me from turning them in for lying. Yeah, there's a reason that they wanted to continue to send me to Megan Missigatis. Even after she explained to them it's not her job, they still wanted to play that. Why is that? Because that's their free fucking ticket. That's their ticket to making it not their fault. Magically, it's not their fault. But everybody uses that excuse. Everybody says it's not their fault. According to the state of Nebraska, it's all of their fault. Not fucking okay. Penny Cooper was supposed to assist me with that stuff. All she cared about was housing. She knew that it was a dead fucking horse. Marcia Estrada was telling me things about that situation. Penny Cooper was telling me the opposite. Now, Penny Cooper is telling Marcia Estrada something different than she's telling me. Something needs to be done. Now, unfortunately, because of the trust issues inherent in the situation, I have to post this stuff on YouTube before I can turn it in or send it to them. And I have to post it up in its entirety, or I'll get accused of doing what everybody else has been doing, which is cherry picking. We'll cherry pick and pull out the little bits and pieces that we can use to try to twist, take out of context, and manipulate to fit our narrative. Thing is, I told the truth. How long did it take these mandated reporters to actually try to make a report? That needs to be reviewed. It needs to be looked into.